Welcome to another day of Bhagavad Gita Sadhana, and I'm sorry I don't seem to see people watching, and that's largely my error because I set up a live video, but I set it up on my computer, supposedly for my phone. I don't know. Anyway, you're supposed to have had some notice that I was, and I had to start a new video because I just couldn't figure out something new. And we're always learning something new in our Bhagavad Gita Sadhana. I'm glad you found me now or later. It's great to have you on this Sunday morning. And as you can tell, I'm not in my usual place because we have had an event planned for months. And it's down at the beautiful Lakeview Cemetery, Cleveland Heights. Actually, no, in Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland and Cleveland Heights. And so the topic that we were going to discuss is children. And by the way, today I'm dedicating this practice to Anjali and Supreet and to all my fellow revelers here in the cemetery. We were talking about children. And before I go back to that, I just want to say cemeteries are some of my favorite places in the whole world. They're quiet, they're beautiful, they're well kept, and they're full of memories. And that's important because we often forget. We forget so many things. And one thing we forget is that the way things are now are not as they have always been. We make assumptions. So for example, right now we live in a time of luxury with regard to children. And this shows up actually in Bhagavad Gita as well. But here, at least in my culture, in my time period, there's a saying that, parents shouldn't outlive their children. And for many people, that's true. They have children. They have maybe one or two, three, four, they may have more, but generally expected that pretty much all your children are going to survive and that someday they may take care of you. They may bury you. They may whatever. They may take over the family business. They give you grandchildren. They give you weddings. But that was not always the case. And in cemeteries like this beautiful one here in Cleveland, you can see evidence of that because there are a lot of tombstones with dates that are extremely close together, born and died maybe a couple years apart, maybe a couple months apart. So all these really tiny people are buried here. And in fact, we went on a tour of another local cemetery, the Erie Street Cemetery, and one of the women there, 5 of her 9 children died before they reached adulthood. So it was actually very common for parents to bury their children. And just think what that must have done to the heart of the parent. And one of the reasons I'm saying that, and in the Bhagavad Gita, by the way, a lot of times children died before their parents. In fact, one of the greatest heartbreak of Arjun and his brothers at the end of this Mahabharata war is that pretty much all their children, all their children are dead. They've outlived all their kids. So it's something to think about as children, because if we have expectations that they're going to outlive us, if we have expectations that anything in this world is going to outlive us, and this is a teaching of Krishna as well, then we will be sorely disappointed at some stage. It's all about grasping life in the now. If you have children, don't wait to give them your approval. Don't wait to help them manifest their destiny. Do it now. Tell them you love them now. Show them you love them now, because for too many people, tragically, it becomes too late. And not just your children, your parents, siblings, cousins, friends, pets. For those of us who are pet parents, we really expect our children to go before us. So maybe we're more prepared that way. Anyway, the event is starting here very shortly. I'm going to start the practice, and hopefully you've got something to think about. I'm going to use props. I talk about how you can use props. I'm going to do tree pose with my props, jetty poles. I'm going to be walking in this walk through history at Lakeview Cemetery so that I can remember all these things we forget or take for granted. Let's do our pose. switch sides. I bet you thought I was going to use these for balance, didn't you? All right, let's come on down. And I realized as I did that, I forgot to take my shoes off. I've got a 5K event coming up, and I'll need shoes for that around here. So many acorns, but I apologize. I'll remove those now as we settle in for our contemplation. And invite you to contemplate for the next 5 minutes, which will be fun because I can't access a timer while I'm doing this live on my phone. So this will be exciting. I invite you to really contemplate, assumptions you might have about what's going to be around for you in the future. And can you make a point of doing it now? Let's contemplate. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Our time is up. I hope you had a good contemplation. Thanks to all who managed to find and join me live. Because today's tech lesson for me is don't assume that just because something's the way it is today that it's always been this way. And vice versa, just because something is this way today doesn't mean it's always going to be that way in the future. Dedicating this also, I dedicated to Supreet and Anjali, but all the folks joining me this morning, especially a wonderful group that's waiting for me near the starting line. I'm heading out. I'll try to get this video organized for those of you who might be looking for it. Thanks again for sticking with it. All kinds of life, different situations. We'll see what comes up tomorrow as we revisit the topic of children. Until then, how do I stop you? We'll find out. Ah, here we go. Bye.